Hello everyone, Miss Art Garden here, and today we're going to do a let's paint of kind of a random woman. I don't really have much idea beyond just I kind of wanted her platinum blonde and to kind of play with light values and the dark values. I'm going to make the background dark to begin with. Pick a kind of lighter color for sketching, like that. So let's start with a circle for her cranium head shape. That's the middle of her face guide. That's the horizontal part, and we'll just go ahead and draw in a face shape. So that's a little too big. Let's just resize that real quick. Maybe her neck out like this. Just something vague. Maybe it'll take shape as we draw it. I sure hope you can see this sketch. Maybe I should brighten it a little bit. Okay, so something like that. So we'll have her eyes, sketching the top of them first. So we'll draw her eyes here and here. Her nose might be here. We'll have her mostly kind of face on to the camera so you can see her nose, like the nostrils, both nostrils, if that makes sense. Something like that. And then we'll draw in her lips. So just kind of sketch them in. Okay. And then we'll give her a little bit of a smile. And I'm gonna move my jaw out just a bit. Kind of keep working it until it's more of the shape that I want. We'll keep going. So her eye shapes here, kind of shape them in, and she'll probably get some nice big eyelashes and some fun eyeshadow. Just kind of playing with like a glamour kind of painting, I think would be nice. I'm gonna reshape this a little bit here, and we can check our progress by flipping it horizontally. I think her lips might be just a little too big. Shrink them a bit. We just kind of want to get a shape in that we're happy with before we start painting. So kind of do her eyes here and here. You know, she'll have like a little crease above the eyes there. Eyebrows kind of go over like that and that. I actually remember drawing eyebrows. People don't need eyebrows. A little shrinking adjustment. I'll move the eyes a little bit over. Then we're gonna draw in her hair. So I'm really gonna go crazy here. We'll have like the waves. This might be a little bit weird looking here, so we're gonna kind of reshape it to go like that. Just however you imagine it. Try to put it down, and if it doesn't quite take how you're imagining it, just kind of adapt whatever it's looking like. Something fun, just really fun and flowy. And I was thinking maybe like I don't know, robe or coat or fancy flowing dress over here, so you just kind of barely see it behind these strands of hair. And then on a new layer I'm going to draw on the hand. This will be the guide for the shape of the hand. That's a little too far, so let's move this over. This is why I'm not bold enough to do it all on one layer. Okay, and then I actually want this to go in, and it'll go down, and then, you know, you can imagine it like that. And then her ring finger will be kind of right above the pinky. Maybe I should have drawn this in a different color to see it better. It's fine. We can see it. This is a joint. This is the joint. Her middle finger joint will be here, and it'll go maybe up like so, and then the top one while we're here just kind of go down like this. I'm going to make it a different color. Her middle finger is here, and we're going to erase this guide. Maybe we won't have that little bend there. You can kind of picture the bends of her knuckles, you know, like that. And then this top one, it'll just go kind of up like this. Draw this pinky in. So we'd be able to see a little bit of the hand here, just a little tiny touch, like where the thumb would be. So now we've got her hand. I think that's all we're going to do for the sketching phase. So now let's go ahead and do a new layer. Pick a medium. Let's do her, fill in her skin first. And I'm going to bump up my opacity to 100, keep my hardness right around 80-ish, and I'm just going to color in all the skin area. And for the hand, I'm going to actually make a new like hand layer. Oops, wow, that's good enough. And we'll color that in as well. Okay, and then going back to the color layer, I'm going to pick her kind of base hair color. So if I want her platinum blonde to look this to be the final color, then I'm going to have to kind of pick a base tone. I'm actually going to make a little bit more red. That should work. So I'm just going to color in this hair area, and I'm not going to go right out to the lines that I sketched, because when you're painting the hair, sometimes I want a little bit more freedom to kind of put the strands out there. And finally, we're going to paint in this robe, and we'll just give her like a nice blue robe. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go in and I'm going to kind of reshape the face how I want it a little bit more, and you know, the hair, just any little place you see that doesn't look quite shapen in the way you want it. And I want to come up here to the hand layer and do the same thing. Okay, so that's a little bit better. We can keep working on that as we paint. Take this warp tool and move this out. I don't really like the angle of her arm, so. And then do like a little patch job on it. So now what we're gonna do is we're gonna go in and we're gonna add some like light and dark values. So let's go back to the color. Maybe I should relabel this like a face layer. so we can keep that straight. And we're gonna go in and we're gonna start putting in some shadows and some light. I think we'll have the light kind of come from this way, and the shadows, you know, obviously would then by default be on this side. I'm actually gonna do my usual trick where you duplicate the layer. You can you know, right click on this and hit duplicate layer, or you can just hit Command J and it duplicates the layer for you. Right click clipping mask, but apparently you can now do option click. I'm sorry, these are for Macs, and that'll create a clipping mask. So I'll be doing that a little bit in this video. What a clipping mask does, just a quick thing in case you didn't know, it only colors on the layer beneath it. I'm gonna pick a shadowy color, and I'm gonna pick kind of a you know, more mid-tone color. And we're just gonna kind of start blocking in the shadows and the mid-tones, or the highlights, I guess. So I'm gonna put my opacity around 25%, my hardness about 60%, 50%, that's good enough. So I know she looks kind of darker skinned now, but she actually will be kind of pale, and highlights will be kind of hitting here and here because her hair's kind of here. So and here, and then of course on her chin, and just kind of like this area here. And then the shadows again will be under her hair, in the corner of her eyes will be shadows. I know these are blocky, how you would sketch in lines, now you're sketching in colors. Just keep working on it. So we'll just kind of have a lot of catching on her nose there. This like area here is getting the most highlights on it, so we're just kind of filling that in a little bit with color here. This area will have the most shadows, so this will be very dark actually. Let's get this a new color. I want this to be a little more saturated, and we'll push these shadows in here. We'll want a few around her nose here, just the barest hint, a shadow here, and then like, you know, like that's kind of like a laugh line here and here. And so you want to include that shadow, and then there's a shadow here kind of where the muscles just kind of gather. I think she looks a little too unsaturated, so I'm going to boost her saturation up just a tiny bit while we're still in this phase. So I want to bring this out a little bit too. I think it's too far over, and that means her cheek will come out. Just keep kind of working on those shapes. So now I think we have her face blocked in okay here. And a common misconception is that you have a very dark line from corner of the eye to down here, but actually this area doesn't have as much, this area, the nose, depending on, you know, what the angle of the face is, it doesn't usually have as much shadow. So you really want your dark shadow here at the corner, and then you want your shadows here, and you don't want like, you want kind of a middle area here that doesn't have as many shadows. So let's take away the sketch. That's our face, still a little messed up. So I'm just gonna go in with the liquify tool now. I want her cheeks to come out a little bit here, and then it'll come in a little bit more here. So that was before, that's reshaped. Kind of see how that liquify tool helps you. And actually, I still need to move this out. We're just gonna kind of smooth some of this stuff out, kind of reshape this so it's more like that. So that'll work a little better, and we can even like add a little tiny highlight there. We're just going to kind of sketch in about where we thought we'd have the eyes. I'm just going to kind of loosely sketch those in. I'm going to do a new layer for hair, and I'm going to add her eyebrows in. You kind of have like this shape first, and then you go out and over like that. That's kind of, if you look at your own eyebrow, that's kind of how the hair grows. Just FYI. Let's move this up so I can see things a little better. So that's her eyes kind of blocked in there, and you can check your progress by flipping it horizontally. Does her eyes line up? More or less. This one's up a little bit higher, so we can fix that. I'm going to merge this clipping mask, and then I'm going to duplicate it with Command J, option click it, and then feather, select feather. This will just be so that it doesn't look, you won't have those hard edges when you move things around. So we're going to flip it back around. Before I totally kind of abandon this sketch layer for her face, I'm going to work in some lip shapes, and I'm actually also going to do one more thing. I'm going to reshape this chin just a tiny bit. Now let's go back and really add in these highlights, and there's a couple methods that you can use, and the method I like is the color dodge, which I'm going to show you as soon as I kind of even out some of these a little bit more. We're going to turn our opacity down to like 8%. That's good. And then we'll do color dodge, and we're going to bump our hardness all the way down. And then we're going to pick kind of a brighter skin color, and we're going to just, oops, I'm on screen. And then we're just going to kind of push these highlights out. So anywhere that you want like a nice big highlight, make your brush kind of nice and big, and just kind of apply this. So just kind of bump up these colors. We're going to blend it in now. So we're going to go back to normal, go to 25%-ish, and we're just going to kind of work some of these colors in a little bit better. And overlay here. And then I'm just going to add a little bit of red to the shadow areas, just so they don't look so desaturated. And while we have overlay, let's go ahead and add some blues, kind of reflective colors. So we'll add some blues in just kind of areas where you see like the highlights might have caught some other object in her skin. And we'll do greens as well. And then let's add some purples while we're at it. Why not? And she looks very interesting right now, don't you think? She looks like there's a Christmas tree. I'm actually gonna take a little bit more of this red pink, bump my opacity down, give her a little bit more color in these shadows. Okay, before we move on, I want to do a little detailing of the hand. Turn our brush back to normal and our opacity back to 25%. Make a clipping mask. Under the digits are going to have some shadows just because the light's kind of coming from this area. In between the digits, you'll want to kind of place in some shadows. Definitely here in this area where you can barely see her thumb. And then at the tips of her fingers where they're kind of bending in, they'll be losing the light a bit. And then we're going to pick up some of these highlight colors. We're just going to kind of take the flats of her fingers and the backs of her fingers rather, and just add some highlighted areas, and there'll be a tiny little bit there. And we'll just kind of add some details now. So push the highlights a little bit, push the shadows a little bit. Maybe add where like some wrinkles are, and you can add those in and give the hand just a little bit of a highlight where that skin is before it goes into the shadow. And a little bit of this color for the mid-tones. So now we'll go back down to the face and I will blend in these colors as well. I'm going to do one more thing on her face before I start working a little bit on her hair, and that's to give her lips. Let's go ahead and just paint them in. Give her like a tiny bit of shadow here. Highlight on either side of there. And you can kind of make out, if you can make out where the bottom of her nose is, it's right there if you can need to see. So we're just going to kind of shape in this color here. Okay, so we got that blocked in, and now we got to add a few block colors for the shadows too, so she doesn't look totally out there. And then we'll just kind of add some more shadows. Over here we'll have the most shadows and a little bit under there. Okay, so that's blocked in. It still looks a little weird, but we are going to do a little bit of her hair next. And remember, we have this hair layer here, which I'm actually going to put between the hand layer and the other layer since the hand is technically on top. We're going to get a darker color and we're going to get a lighter color. Bump my opacity up to like 40. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go in and just kind of block in colors. I think that I was deluding myself into thinking that the skin color was going to get better, so I'm going to go in now and carefully highlight it and just kind of manipulate it with the levels. I'm going to feather it just a little tiny bit, 10 pixels. Let's see, we'll start with hue and saturation. And I'm going to take my levels now. It's just a little tiny adjustment. Next, we're going to do this robe that I never really even defined that well. Maybe it's a towel around her, maybe it's a shawl. I didn't really think about it. I just went with it. I think that sometimes it's just kind of takes a life on its own. So let's go ahead and add some shadows. No matter what it is, it's going to have wrinkles. And you might catch just a little tiny bit of highlight and go back in, and I'm going to just darken this. And I'm definitely going to darken this whole area and down here. So now we're going to go back to the hand, bump the highlights. Okay, so I've done a little bit of color dodge work, and I'm going to actually go to multiply. I'm on 10%, and I'm going to take a darker color and I'm going to push these shadows just a little bit more, since I'm really trying to push the values in this. Okay, and then I'm going to go back up to color dodge and push some highlights while I'm here too. I want this soft brush glow. And I might as well just go one more time on the hand while I have this color dodge. And now let's start detailing her face. Just turn it back to normal, 25%. I'm going to come in and work on her eyes next and reshape them for a minute. And then we're going to give her, we don't want to go full white, but we want to give her some whites of the eyes. So we'll go kind of gray. So let's go with blue eyes, like kind of icy blue eyes. There goes my doggo again. He's barking. Those rabbits are scary, man. Kind of blue icy eyes here and here. Let's bump this color down while we apply this, and then we'll kind of highlight or outline this area, might as well go back to color dodge and brighten up the inner area here with it. Then we're gonna go back to, oh, I was on screen. I always do that. I'm gonna go back to normal opacity, 25%, just pure black. Let's add some shadows under the eyes. And I'm gonna come in and I'm gonna boop up these whites a little bit more. I'm gonna keep reshaping this a little bit. Okay, there's a little shadow crease that you'll see, and then we're gonna need to bring in some highlights here as well. And we'll do the same over here. And then we'll add some darker shadows here and add some more shadows in the corner of her eyes here. And you'll see the corner of her eye has like a highlight, and then this area in here is kind of dark, and the corner of her eye over here I already kind of worked a little bit of a highlight in, and it's kind of dark here, but I want a little bit more of the whites to show. Draw in some lashes while we're here, and then we're going to add a little highlight of skin right above the eye makeup line. And then we're going to take our brush, make it kind of small, take just the white, and we're going to bump it down to like 14%. And we're going to add just a little tiny bit of white right there. This just kind of gives her eye like a wet look. Right under here there'll be a shadow like that. Let's go ahead and draw in a pupil and some highlights. I want my hardness to be less. It doesn't really matter what the highlights look like. They should be about the center of the eye, and they should kind of match each other. Like, so I'm going to draw in just kind of like these random shapes. And then you blow it out. It looks like it's really catching the light there. I am merging this layer, creating a clipping mask with it. So I'm going to go in feather, a selection, and just move it up a bit. And we're going to select this nose so it's at a little bit more of a correct angle. I'm going to move the lips one more time. And if you don't create these clipping masks, it looks like that when you move things around. We were kind of working on her eyes. I'm going to kind of detail a few little things here. I'm going to blow it way up, take the liquify tool, fix her eyes. This eye especially is a little too wide, so I'm just going to rework it. I think it's good to have kind of like a pinched right at the top there. I want this to swoop down, but I also want a pinched look, and I didn't quite achieve that. So we will manipulate it after the fact. Okay, so that's before, that's after, a little bit better. So now while it's still really blown up, I'm going to take a dark blue color, and I'm going to kind of emphasize the rings around her irises. I'm going to merge that, duplicate, make it a clipping mask, and I'm just going to move this eye up. Then we're going to go in and detail her nose. So we want some darker colors here for the nostrils. I'm going to blend that in a bit here, add a little shadow here, add a little shadow underneath, make this a bit saturated. And I'm forgetting I'm going to need like a little bit of a shadow here where it's casting quite a shadow because of her nose. And just kind of keep painting in, keep on keeping on. And while we're here, we'll do the lips next. I'm going to kind of work this as more of a cherry red. I don't really like the pink. So we're going to kind of come in here, give it a little bit there. We've lost that smile line. I think I over blended it. So let's work that back in. Okay, there's just a little touch of it now. So you can just sort of see a smile forming there. Now we'll go back in, pick like a nice cherry red and work in the darker areas of the lips. The lips are sort of outlined, so we'll go ahead and just outline them with color and kind of work inwards from there. This has a little bit of a shadow there, and then this area will be the most shadowed. You know, you can imagine the light's not hitting it because this area is sticking out more. So we've got those lips a little more shaped in, a little touch of shadow here at the corner. You won't be able to see it very much. And now let's add some highlights. So I'm going to go to my favorite little trick with the color dodge. And I'm going to make this way less, like 6, hardness 0. I'm going to go in and add some hatch details. And then I'm going to go back to normal with the full white and add just a couple little white highlights. And there's her lips. I want to add some highlighted areas right around them, like where they stick out. Go ahead and throw these in. And I'm going to add a tiny shadow here at the corner of her lips. I'm going to push for some more highlights on the face, and then I'm going to add a little bit of texture. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to pick a brush that's just kind of textury. So here's a Photoshop one default Photoshop one. I think it's like an old version that's been grandfathered in, but I'm just gonna mess with the brush settings just a touch. You can go to Window, Brush if it's not open, and go to Brush Shape, and I'm gonna space mine just a little bit. Dynamics, I'm gonna size jitter it a little bit, and I'm definitely gonna angle jitter. That's the main thing I want. So you can see exactly what that's gonna kind of look like. I'm actually going to size jitter and base it a little bit more so it's more like that. Kind of do the usual color dodge trick with white, but we're gonna put this way down at like 4 or 5%, and we're just gonna kind of work a few little white spotches in here. All right, and then we're gonna go to multiply, and I'm gonna take kind of a red color here, and some of these shadow areas I'm gonna add some textures in there too. So let's go back to the brush we were using, the regular hard round brush. Go back to normal. Actually, we're gonna go to color dodge one more time, just on the plain white. I'm going to take it and just really push these last little bits of color. And you can actually go to the hair as well and make a clipping mask and push for some of the highlighted areas to really be shown on this side here. And we can even take a multiply, pick like a yellow color so it won't look so weird, and go in and kind of make that a little bit more. And I'm gonna, while I'm here, why not take an overlay, make this, I think this has gotten away from being that platinum blonde, it's just gone to like totally white. So let's just overlay a little bit of yellow into it. And then to finish it off, we're just going to work on this hair a little bit more, add like a little bit more detail. So I'm going to be in normal. I'm gonna bump my opacity down to about 20. I'm going to merge these so this isn't a clipping mask anymore so I can stray. Just really lay in, blend in these colors, keep working my brush sizes down further to add some more details and strands. So you apply some color here, some highlights here, and then you bring your brush size down, make your color a little bit lighter, and add some more. And then you can make it even lighter, bring your brush size down, add some even more, and that's kind of how you add those like strand details. And then you blend them in later with making your brush bigger and make the same thing where you just kind of pick up the colors and put them down and stuff. So let's go through here, and we're just going to add some more details of the hair, just like how I explained there. We're going to go in, we're going to add some individual strands, and then we're going to sort of work them in with smaller brush sizes and varying colors. Okay, so you can kind of see this kind of coming together now. We are detailing up the hair. We still have a little bit of refinement to do. Let's just finish refining the face, and then we'll finish refining the hair, and this will pretty much, I'll just kind of be speeding through all the little details. Still think her skin tone is a little bit off. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to the curves, and you can select just the skin again if you want. Make a few little adjustments. Alternately, what you can do is do the overlay technique. So we'll go to overlay, add a little touch of pink with a very soft brush. Then we're going to go in, and I want to fix, let's just kind of work on her nose shape, push out a little bit. These shadows go here. One more thing, I was going to do just a little touch of makeup on her. Yeah, we'll just do black. Bump it all the way down to 12%, and we'll just kind of work some like eyeliner look to it. One over here. Kind of smudge some eyeliner in, a little bit more smudgy here and smudgy here. While I'm here, I'm also gonna make this eye just a little less bright. I'm going to move this other eye just over a smidgen. Before, after, I think it lines up a little bit better. And then we're gonna go, we've lost some stuff with all the reworking, so we're gonna go and push to kind of reestablish some of the things we didn't want to lose. We've lost her highlight here. I want to kind of recapture that. So now when you want to make things a little more defined and less fuzzy, what you're gonna have to do is go in and add some like little bit sharper details. So like maybe around the nose, this is a style thing too. You want to add just like a little highlight under the nostril there so you can kind of see it, and maybe one here. We'll probably have to work on that because that's not quite lining up, but we'll go on to liquefy it in a minute. Like a little highlight there on her lip. She's kind of totally lost this shadow over on this side of her nostril. And then I'm going to add a highlight to her nose here, kind of give that a little 3D look. Just have a little highlight there, and then we can push this highlight here and the shadows right underneath it. Now I'm going to go in and really push some of these shadows and highlights and finish detailing out her hair and detail her robe a little bit. But I think we've pretty much covered everything. So if you guys have any questions or comments, leave them in the comment section below. If you guys have any requests for what you would like me to do a workshop of in the future, let me know. And I hope you guys have a wonderful day, and I will see you in the next video.